Wow. Let's see. We're here in the midst of Black History Month, a month that has been set aside, dedicated by the American system to say, you know, this is the month we're going to honor Black history. Unfortunately, most of what America at large honors as Black history omits certain things in Black history that they find to be that especially whites find to be somewhat distasteful, like the realities of slavery and dealing with the institution of slavery in America, and how the institution was begun in Africa, and that slaves were not brought from Africa, that educators and teachers and very wise people were brought from Africa. People of peace were forced here into slavery in America. I'm happy that America decided to acknowledge Black history, which is something that came out of the Civil Rights Movement here. We had to be hosed down, dogs set on us, people went to jail and beaten and everything before we can get to the point where they says we're gonna, okay, you got a history in America. Then most school systems actually, when they talk about Black history, there are only a certain elite few that they put in front of their children's faces, the names that they give them to do reports on, you know, the Booker T. Washingtons or the Martin Luther Kings, and very rarely you hear teachers in elementary school tell them children to do a report on Malcolm X or Denmark Vesey. One of the major problems that we have with Black History Month is the fact that we don't need a Black History Month. We need Black history year-round, because our history is vast and it's all-inclusive, and it's also a history that built this nation that we have. Without Black labor, America would not be what it is today. Without Black inventions, the world would not be what it is today. But those are facts that have been systemically overlooked in the American story in order to keep the mentality of Black people without having anything that they could be proud of. It's another form of racism, and it's another thing that must be eliminated. When it comes to our American history that's taught in schools today, it's a one-sided history. It's a white history. It's his story, not our story too. And that's wrong. The teaching of American history like that, what it's done over the years, has impressed upon white children that they actually are the better people. Because we look in the history books that they're taught from, and the majority, the overwhelming majority of the do-gooders and the heroes in there are white people, when there's a small minority of Black people included in those books. Now, for the Black child that's reading that and looking through that, they're looking like, man, I guess I ain't never gonna be nothing. I got nothing to be proud of. So we're teaching white children privilege and even unconscious bias at that point, while we're teaching Black children low self-esteem. And we wonder how, as our children get older, they don't have any problem tearing up stuff in their community or shooting each other. They've been taught low self-esteem from an early age. My personal belief is that, and something that I'm going to fight in North Charleston for, is that we develop an educational system that is equal, that it's fair, that it tells the history the way it really happened, that we incorporate Black history into the white history and make sure that the white history that we're telling is telling the truth. We're not going to sit around and glorify Colonel Custer when he actually was responsible for annihilating our Native Americans. Christopher Columbus. We're not going to teach that Christopher Columbus discovered America, because first off, how are you going to discover a continent there were people of color already on? Then you came in and brought disease and pestilence and killed, nearly exterminated them during the overtaking of this country, the occupation of this country, if you could say. So we'll incorporate real history into this history that we have right now and teach our children, even if we have to do it experimentally, and see what the outcome is over time. Can we produce a generation of children where racial bias is not part of their upbringing, that they're taught racial bias, that we can teach black children to have more self-esteem beginning at a young age in the schools, because they're taught the truth about the heroes and the heroines of African American and black history. This month, I wish that black people would take into consideration the fact that we've been shafted by, once again, we've been sold a bill of goods by this Black History Month, when we have enough to be proud of 365 days a year without looking for 1 month. And if our white population has to hinge on 1 month to respect us, then we're not winning. Okay? None of us, white, black, or anybody, is not winning. Until they understand and we understand that as a community, as a whole, as a collective, that we all contributed to the success of this state, this nation, and not only contributed to it, but are entitled to the benefits of it, because we contributed, we're entitled to the benefits of it. Until we get to that understanding, then we're going to continue to rehash and go over the racial issues that we have, the fights, all the confusion and carrying on that we have right now. For us as black people, we need to understand that we were intentionally once separated from our motherland. We were intentionally separated from those who we could understand. The languages were confused, and we were separated from those within our tribes and our families intentionally, so we could not come together as a people, so we could not unite, so we could not pose a threat to the establishment, the white establishment that enslaved us. So that mentality that separated us, unfortunately, has been sown into the spirit of black people over the years. So the spirit of revolution is sort of distant to us. Another reason for that being, we don't hear the stories of Denmark Vesey and the slave uprisings and things like that, but the Stonewall Rebellion here in South Carolina. But we have to get to the point where we understand that unity is the way that we will work. Not that I agree with you, but the fact that until we stand together, then we're going to fall together. The Bible gives us a clear example of how we should work together. It says if you really want to answer an example of how to get something done, look at how ants work. They might not like each other individually. They might be from different tribes and whatever, but you step on that mound. I don't know about you, I've stepped on one or two. And not one ant or Pastor Dixon and Elder James come out to fight, James Johnson come out to fight. No, the whole colony come out. Before you know it, they're eating up your leg. They'll make you run. They'll make you get away. We as a people need to understand that these communities like the community that we're in right now, Dorchester Terrace, the Waylyn across the way, Acabee, the Height, the Macon, all of the Chicora Cherokee, all of Russellville, Ferndale, these are our communities. And we've allowed the outliers to come amongst us and to put their foot in our ant pile, and we don't do nothing about it. Nothing whatsoever. We don't even vote to get rid of the people who are oppressing us. So we need to understand that the way that we win is that we have to work together. We don't have to fight each other on every front. There's some things that are just a given that we need to fight together on. And that's where 50 years ago in the Civil Rights Movement, many people understood that, of all nations. It wasn't just the black people. A lot of times the black people were the catalyst because of the advent of television at that time and reporters being able to put film on television showing people being mistreated, and that brought out white demonstrators and everything, people who felt that good should overcome evil. They got involved. But now, in this 21st century, I don't know what it is. I don't know if we just gotten apathetic and lazy about our engagement. It's time for us to consider ourselves as the sleeping bear and realize that we got to poke the bear. It's time for the bear to rise. It's time for the lions, the lionesses of our community to rise up, and not in a violent way, because we can do this intellectually. We can do this. We don't need the bullet when we got the ballot. We can do it at the polls. We can take back our community by supporting and putting in the office people who we know are going to do right by us. And I make it a point of saying people that we know that are going to do right by us, because in any election you got people who you only see at election time. People who are going to say, vote for me because I'm your homeboy. But those are not the people that are proving that they're going to work best for the community. We need to always think about community first. If we got issues one with another, we need to understand that our community, we don't make no guns. So why do we go get a gun to hurt each other? We need to get to that point where we can begin to iron out our differences with each other, and to move forward with them, not take a life. I'm about tired of all of this craziness. But I know that it can be changed, because our people, we come from roots in Africa where we did live together. The first man was in Africa. And we can get back to that type of a harmony with the right leadership. But we can't expect for leadership to do it alone. It's time for our parents to be parents. Many of our parents are young parents, and they don't understand what parenting is. They never had examples for themselves. So we need to help and nurture them and not point fingers at them. We need to give them opportunities to excel, opportunities to learn, opportunities to prosper, just as the rest of this city is allowed to prosper. We can't keep pointing fingers at people and saying, well, you're this or you're not doing that, without saying, here's what I'm here to help you to do and to be. And that's what we're going to do in North Charleston. That's the new North Charleston that's coming. That's the new vision for a new city that's coming with new leadership in 2019. November 5th is the election. This is Pastor Thomas Dixon. Don't look for Pastor on the ballot. Just look for Thomas Dixon. Tommy Dixon ain't going to be on there. Thomas Dixon is going to be there on there. And if you see anything that says Tom Slick, don't even just pass it up. But yeah, new leadership with a new vision for a new North Charleston, where everybody is included and everybody will be able to get up one day and say, you know, life is good.